Hello, hello, everybody. This is Angel Arts, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Let's Play Pokemon Spectrum, the tabletop campaign with our fellow players. We are going to begin with the warm-up question. So I prepped the players the question ahead of time just to help them think about it, because it might be a bit of a deeper question to answer. And that question is, what is their Pokemon, the Pokemon that they're playing? What is their Pokemon's deepest regret up to this point? The players also were told that if they wanted me to answer that question for one of the NPC Pokemon, they're welcome to have me answer that question as well. Have you guys decided which NPC Pokemon you wanted me to start to do?
My vote is going in for Gobblestone. I think he's the most mysterious because of his mental illness. Like, was he okay before that? Does he have a regret that caused that sort of thing? So that's my angle.
Mm-hmm. We'll go with Gobblestone. Okay, so Gobblestone is one of the older NPC Pokemon that you've encountered so far. So Gobblestone's gone through a lot. The reason why he's a little rough around the edges is because he, as you can imagine, didn't have the greatest upbringing, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the fact that he is currently, I guess, homeless at the moment with Cobblestone. So one thing I should probably explain right now is that there is a lot of stigmas that goes amongst the Pokemon community. I'm not talking about the trainers see stigmas in the Pokemon. I'm sure that they exist as well. But within the Pokemon themselves, amongst the Pokemon themselves, there's a bunch of stigmas. And one of the stigmas that exists upon Pokemon is type preferences, to put it nicely. One of the Pokemon types that is the most, I guess, that causes the most anxiety in the Pokemon community in general. I'm sure that there are, each individual Pokemon might have their own specific opinions, but overall, the poison types are the ones that tend to be the least trusted. And you can probably argue that there might be a bit of social profiling that happens amongst the community in terms of poison Pokemon. And part of the reason for this is a lot of it is because the way the poisons work is that, it's that poison in general is something that is sort of like the silent killer or the silent adverse effects that kind of happens to you that's not as obvious as, say, shooting a fireball at you or throwing an uppercut at you. And so they tend to be very untrusting. But on top of that, the earliest cases of Pokerus, the Pokerus virus, came originally from, for the most part, the poison types. The poison types were the ones who were infected with the Pokerus first. And there was a big giant outbreak of Pokerus early on. And because of this, it has left a lot of the poison Pokemon with a very heavy social stigma. I'm sort of modeling this after the HIV outbreak that happened in the 80s, and how the LGBT community was not put into a very good light because a good number of people who were infected by the HIV virus were from the gay community. So a lot of that is what I'm modeling this like social thing within the Pokemon society. So going back to Gobblestone, he was one of the earliest Pokemon who got infected by this Pokerus, and his trainer, again, was the type of trainer who kept him infected for a while, specifically because they found out, hey, Pokerus makes other Pokemon get stronger and stuff. So, and the thing is, they didn't really keep him around necessarily to become stronger himself. They used him as the Pokemon that you use to infect the other Pokemon that I actually want to battle with. So he kept him sick to make everybody else stronger, not necessarily him, which unfortunately is a very common practice, especially back in the day. So that made him very bitter about poison types in general, and it's still to this day is something he struggles with. He still is uneased by poison Pokemon specifically. And so I guess the general regret that he has is he's starting to recognize that he is a bit typist, I guess is the way to put it. He is a bit typist against poison Pokemon, and I think he has been for a while. He's set in his ways at his age, but he's sort of recognizing that might not be the most PC thing in the world, and he's having second thoughts about that view, just because he had a very poor experience with it, and I don't think he ever, like, outright mistreated poison types to their face, but behind closed doors he definitely has. And I would say that's probably Gobblestone's current deepest regret that he's still struggling with.
Question.
Yes.
What was the Pokemon community's general response when Fairy type became recognized?
Ew.
I think that Fairy type was... I don't think there was an ill response. I don't think there was a bad response necessarily.
Are we saying that, out of curiosity and for the Pokemon community and everything, because things like that are largely social constructs, in the games, of course, like second generation, we got Dark and Steel type, and then later on, Fairy type. Did that kind of happen in this world too, where they weren't always seen as like so different, like separated into different types? Did those kinds of branchings of Dark type, Steel type, Fairy, did those actually occur in this world?
The trickiness about that is that technically a lot of the when the Fairy type appeared in the game out of character, they also introduced a lot of the powers that existed before and turned that into Fairy types. So that means that from a mechanical point of view, you went something that used to be normal type, for example, all of a sudden became Fairy type. In real life, that would not have happened. Scientists would not have decided, oh, yeah, these Pokemon are now Fairy now, and these moves are now Fairy type, and then magically, they became effective and with weaknesses and strengths that Fairies have. Yeah. So that wouldn't make any sense. So because that wouldn't make any sense, I'm just going to say that mechanically, the Fairy Pokemon were always Fairy type. Whether or not you want to label it as such historically is another question. Their types, just like their moves or moves of the Fairy type were always of the Fairy type. So the short answer is I don't think there was necessarily a big change or shift like there was in real life in the games. They were always Fairy type, or they always had Fairy type moves. But that's a good question.
I actually started touching upon this a few sessions back with Lux and his time spent as Mockery and what was asked of him, and the fact that he didn't realize, I don't have to do this. I'm not comfortable doing this, but my trainer wants me to do this, so I'm going to do what my trainer wants because he's my trainer. And when I was living in the wilds by myself, I didn't handle that quite so well either. So pretty much killing people, and, well, it's what my trainer told me to do. I just followed orders.
Has Lux kept a count, just out of curiosity?
I feel like he would have.
Do you know what that number is?
Offhand, I have not. Sorry.
Okay.
I will get the answer to you between sessions.
Okay.
There's a single tally marked scar for each victim.
Wow, you don't know what's going on under that robe of his.
Exactly.
Luck. He raises his robes and you just see like scratch marks on it.
Yeah. Reese, he and Chase get along.
Witch talk.
Are you thinking I can count the number with one hand? Are you thinking I can count the number with more than two hands?
Do you need to get your feet involved?
Because having having killed like a couple people is different from having killed like 20 people. So I'm guessing.
I'd say less than one hand. Because again,
Less
most
than one
people
hand.
in this verse know what a Mimikyu is, so one gets popped out in front of you. Are you going to give me the information now?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll give you the information now.
Okay.
And, killed, driven insane, like,
Eh.
both possibilities.
Like, how many people did you drive insane that you're supposed to kill?
Exactly.
Anyway, yeah, I guess I can go next. I think U's his biggest regret before was actually hurting Tiffany, and so he's always been a very affectionate little guy, and so hurting Tiffany was, it was kind of an eye opener for him that he could possibly hurt someone even if he doesn't mean to. So that was a big regret for him. Recently, though, I think his biggest regret is being unable to prevent his friends from getting hurt at the contest. Like we all saw his big breakdown afterwards and how much it affected him later. And I don't know how much right now he's ready to process the whole like, I'm not sure if he's ready to develop himself and say, okay, I need to be stronger. But he recognizes that his friends were hurt and he could have possibly helped them a little bit more, and he feels like he failed in that sense. Yeah, and he definitely would have tried to hurt Iridessa if Fern hadn't stopped him. That's how much it affected him.
And if he did, do you think that would have been his new deep regret if he did, or you don't think it would have been?
At this point I'm not sure. I want to say no, I don't think so. Like, because he was doing it because that person hurt his friends, so now I'm going to hurt you now.
Got it.
I don't think he has a concept of mercy the way that Fern does.
I think Fern's biggest regret is probably disappointing her old boss. She was never good enough for her old boss. Everything she did was not good enough. She couldn't grow another tail. And that always disappointed her boss. And she could never make the person happy, no matter what she tried. So she regrets that most.
I would say one of Bullet's biggest regrets would be, if not the very first time he delivered a package with Molly, then, certainly one of the first times. I can imagine, she went in to actually like handle the delivery, and he maybe saw, a Pokemon that he thought he recognized from their time in prison or whatever. And so he went after them. And then, the smell of food, like suddenly caught his attention. So then he went after that. And basically he just had his own little Pokemon adventure all day by himself. And, he had a great old time with it. But then, he finally like came back and, then Molly, wasn't there anymore. And so he was left alone for a bit. And, suddenly all these concerns came up. And then it took a while for him to finally like find Molly again. And one of the things is just, he felt, one, he'd almost lost her. Two, he certainly felt he disappointed her. And whether or not she felt this way, he felt like she felt abandoned. And so he just, Molly is his favorite thing in the whole world, so he doesn't want anything like that to affect their relationship. And so he very much regretted that. And so even though he still values the same kinds of things today, still the same like friendly curiosity and of course the love for free food and all that, he's willing to now like put that back and focus on what needs to be done, which typically is staying with Molly.
I do want to ask Roma how Molly reacted to that. Was she scolding Bullet? Was she angry, not angry, upset, disappointed? What was her reaction?
I think Molly's feeling wasn't a feeling of abandonment. I think it was more of a feeling of, I'm like a mother looking for a lost child, basically. Like combined with the fact that she had just started her new job right out of prison. This was supposed to be her second chance, basically. And so early on in the process, she's already screwing up and losing her Pokemon and stuff. So I think when she finally found Bullet, I think by that point she was just pure relief at first, and then finally the upset started to kick in a little bit, and she didn't get angry at him. It was just more of a like a mother scolding her child, like you shouldn't leave me like that. We're supposed to work together.
I think for Remy, it would be the regret of not being able to do more to prevent the death of his father. When Noire came into the picture, she took care of him, took care of the father for a long period of time, and Remy got a chance to at least to talk to the father, but he was too young to do anything about the health going downhill. I would say the mother, that he never got a chance to meet the mother, but I wouldn't call that regret because he wouldn't have had an option there. She was already gone by the time Noire saved the father and the eggs. So, but I think part of it is just not really having a true family, like not knowing his blood relatives. I think would be a regret.
Molly, you're at the station, and with Nevi, rookie Nevi, and I'm trying to remember. The lieutenant was there, and then who else was there too? Remind me again.
Chase Madison.
Chase and Madison. Yes, thank you. But while they're talking with Madison, would Molly have broken off at least to go find Dr. Pearl, or would she have interacted with Madison
I think Molly
at all?
would have. I think she would have stuck around to see if Madison was all good by that point, and then see if we're all finished.
Yeah, you're gonna find Dr. Pearl's office. Currently, the door is shut currently, but you do see that there is a light on inside. So normally this means, well, I don't know. What do you do once you see that? You tell me.
Like she goes up, and her heart kind of skips a beat for a second, and then she's just kind of trying not to smile too big, but she goes up and she knocks on the door.
You knock on the door, and you hear some movement from inside, and then the door opens a little bit, just a crack, and you can see her face, and she currently has a cell phone up to her ear, and as soon as she sees you, she gives you a very delighted look, like, "Oh wow, I as if to say, I didn't expect to see you here." And she opens the door again, and she just kind of goes, "1 minute." She says, "Oh, okay."
Molly gives a thumbs up.
All right. Steven, I have a patient right now. Can I call you back? All right. She hangs up the phone. You know that Steven is her brother. She's probably spoken about him a few times during your session. But she hangs up the phone, and she says, Molly Moon. What a surprise, she says.
Hello, Dr. Pearl. Nice to see you.
She says, to what do I owe this surprise visit? Please come in. Can I get you something? She says as she turns around, and she looks and with a little bit of a defeated look, she notices that all she has right now is like a half a bottle of water and an apple that just got bitten into, that has a bite in it already. Well, I guess I don't really have much of anything to offer you.
Well, that's all right, Dr. Pearl. I just came to see you, really.
Well, this is definitely a pleasant surprise. What are you doing back? I hope it's not because anything wrong happened to you.
Well, a lot of crazy has happened, and maybe a bit of wrong, hoping to make it right, but I promise I didn't do any more break-ins or anything.
Oh.
I'm not under arrest. Don't worry.
She adjusts her glasses a little bit. Come on, have a seat. Let's do some catching up.
Yeah. So Molly sits down. She's kind of looking around the room. She's very fondly looking at everything, seeing things that she remembers.
Yeah. Not that much has really changed in her office since you were there last. There might be a couple new posters or some new pamphlets on the table, but other than that, everything is just as you remembered.
She sits down and she says, well, where to start, Dr. Pearl? The past few weeks have been crazy.
She says, well, tell me all about it. I'm afraid that life over here has been, well, pretty normal. Well, as normal as can be.
Yeah, I don't know if you've read the newspapers, but everything crazy for me started with that explosion a few weeks ago. Did you read about that?
Oh, you mean the one at Saffron City?
Yes.
You were there for that?
I was the one who delivered the package, but I promise, no, I didn't know there was a bomb in it. But yeah, you remember Mr. Huxley, right?
I have heard the name from you before. I can't say that I've had the pleasure of meeting him before, though.
It wouldn't be much of a pleasure, but anyway, yeah, he gave me a package to send off, and well, that package exploded, and that led to a lot of craziness for me in the past few weeks.
Oh my goodness. Your boss was behind the explosion?
Not necessarily. Okay, this is gonna sound really crazy, Dr. Pearl, but you I know you still do sessions with the prisoners here, right?
Well, yes, I do.
Well, I'm curious. You wouldn't happen to know of any new criminal groups running around who use the phrase "omnia and unum" as their motto or anything, would you?
That's Latin for all in one. I can't say that I'm very up to date with my terroristic groups. No, she says with a bit of a smile.
Okay, I was just curious because yeah, the people who are behind the explosion seem to be part of something involving I don't know. Dr. Pearl, it's so crazy. I can't even organize my own thoughts about it. But yes, someone who is involved with the explosion actually said that phrase, and I was in earshot of it. And then there were other things that happened. You know, half human, half Pokemon. Something about Cresselia and the dream world.
Wait, say that again.
Really,
Repeat what you just said.
well, Cresselia and a strange dream world that I and a couple of my friends, new friends now, have been part of.
She takes not a step back, but she leans back a little bit, and she says, "That's interesting. Can you tell me more about Cresselia and the Dream World?"
Well, yeah, it all started one night. I was with some people who were all somewhat involved in the explosion in some way. Not that they were responsible for it. It's just they were all in the area. And then one night we all just fell asleep at the same time, and we ended up in this crazy dream world place. Place was full of doors. All the doors had strange clues behind them.
Doors, clues, interesting. She starts to get lost in her own thoughts, as if a lot of what you're saying somehow makes sense to her a little bit. And she actually gets a little bit distracted, and almost as if like you're no longer in the room, as she's like in deep thought. She sometimes gets like this sometimes, so it's not anything unusual. And you just have to like, Dr. Pearl, you know.
Yeah, Molly will wait a minute just to see if she comes out of it herself. But if she doesn't, then
She'll stop and says, "My apologies, Molly. It's just dreams have been something that I've been doing a lot of research on lately, over the last year, actually.
Oh, it's a new thing, like since I got out?
Well, new for me, at least. It's... I have a friend. I can't really disclose anything because, patient privacy. So I'm just going to say I have a friend who also has been struggling with dreams as well.
Struggling? How so?
Seeing things that she looks around, things that eventually come true.
Well, I can't speak for that person, but the doors in our dream, when we opened them, they seemed to lead to clues about the location of the Arceus plates.
The Arceus plates.
And so far, a few of the plates have been stolen, and we just happened to be in those places, and there were direct clues.
I'm afraid I don't know very much about the Arceus plates or what that has to do with dreams. But if they're being stolen by this group, you're saying, is stealing them?
I don't know if they're a group exactly, but they're very strange. They look like people, but they end up having some Pokemon abilities. So one of them was a shapeshifter, just like a Ditto. Another one was poisonous, and then another one had ice powers. And who knows what else we'll see.
By Arceus, I have never heard of such a thing. She adjusts her glasses a little bit. That sounds both, I guess, fascinating and scary at the same time. I don't know if I feel very comfortable trusting ourselves with abilities. I mean, Pokemon seem to have a hard time adjusting to their abilities themselves, much less us who aren't equipped to wield such abilities.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't even know why I'm talking to you about all this. We just tried to catch up, but yeah, I figured if you've been talking to people in the prison, I don't know. I thought maybe something might have come up or someone might have mentioned something, but I don't know how widespread they are.
Well, you do understand, Molly, that everything that I talk to with my patients here at the prison is completely private, non-disclosure.
I know that. I don't know. But I don't know, maybe if there's just some info in general, you don't have to mention any names or anything, but anything that might help us figure out this big mystery. I mean, the lieutenant, he's agreed to work with us too.
She'll nod and say, "I understand. I wish that there was some way I could help you, Molly, but I don't really have any information other than translating a few Latin words."
Well, how about this then? And Molly reaches for a piece of paper and she draws the symbol that was on the door, the Alpha and Omega symbol.
Mm-hmm.
What about this one?
She looks at it and says, "Alpha and Omega?"
Yeah, that was on a big door in the middle of the room, and when we walk through that, then we leave the dream world.
Well, she says, since you mentioned Arceus, I mean, they say that Arceus is the one who created the Pokemon, and through the Pokemon created the world and all of the living things in it, and so people have referred to Arceus as the Alpha and Omega. That's the only thing I can think of.
That's very interesting. I'll have to talk to my friends about that. I don't know very much about gods, Dr. Pearl.
I did go to church as a child. I sometimes do now, but definitely more so when I was younger than now. Over at the Arceus temples a few times. So I do know a few things.
I might ask you about those sometimes, because I don't know, with everything crazy going on, I'm just wondering if Arceus really is a god or if he's just a powerful Pokemon, you know?
That's very
I'd really like some answers.
That's very understandable, she says. Many people who are, I guess, more into the sciences like myself tend to not really exercise their faith, but I was raised with it, and I'm pretty comfortable with it myself, and I'm comfortable separating the two, science and faith. But that's just myself.
Well, anyway, we don't have to talk about all the craziness in my life. I mean, could I come back and visit sometime, just if I want to talk, or?
Of course, she says. You can visit any time that you'd like, Molly, although I know it's a bit of a way for you.
Well, could I maybe have your phone number?
She chuckles a little bit. Do you need my card again?
The other one is somewhere out of character. It's actually like under her pillow.
Sure, I can give you another
I don't know,
card.
I dropped it somewhere.
Oh, well, not to worry. She says, I have plenty, don't worry. And she takes one out and then she hands you her card again.
Yeah, she'll take it.
Call me anytime you need to talk, especially if you run into anything at all while you're out there that you're dealing with. It can be a very scary place, I'm sure, especially when you've spent some time in here. I'm hoping that you've been adjusting very well, though.
Sometimes it's hard. Bullet makes it easier, and well, my new friends have been pretty nice, but like I said, with all the craziness going on, and Molly will pause for a second, and then she'll look back and she'll say, actually, there's one more thing, Dr. Pearl. What might cause someone to lose their memory? And is it possible for them to get it back?
Well, there's a number of ways that people could lose their memory, amnesia. Normally it's because of a traumatic experience. Maybe it's something from their past that they subconsciously don't want to remember or revisit. Sometimes it might even be, of course, sometimes it might be something physical, like a blow to the head, might cause brain damage, and therefore it would end up causing areas of the brain to disconnect memories. The way the memories work is normally based on association. You think of one thing that reminds you of another thing that reminds you of another thing, A to B to C to D. So if the connection at C is severed, then you sort of lose the connection to D and E and F, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Could the connection be fixed?
She says, it can be, yes. The brain can heal itself over time. I guess in very drastic conditions, it might require more than just the natural healing. I'm not a medical expert, definitely not a brain surgeon, so I couldn't really tell you, but from my basic understanding of how memories in the brain works, I'm pretty sure that's something that can be taken. Now, if it's something that's more psychological, like I said, if it's a traumatic experience or something that the person doesn't want to revisit, then that might require a bit more of a psychiatric touch.
I see. Yeah,
There's the more supernatural ways of getting amnesia, normally because of Pokemon. That's a realm that is not my expertise, unfortunately. But I do know that there are very powerful Pokemon, psychics Pokemon normally, that have the ability to wipe memories. But those type of Pokemon are typically not allowed within these walls, so I wouldn't really worry too much about it. The chances of you running into any of those Pokemon are very slim, Molly.
Okay.
I see you shaking your head, Riz. It's very slim. What are the chances you'd run into something like that in your life? Come on now.
Well, what are the chances? Yeah, so Molly is very thoughtful right now, and she'll say, "All right, thanks, Dr. Pearl. It's just a new friend I have. He seems to have pretty severe amnesia, and
Oh.
yeah, and it turns out he's not actually a new friend of mine. He's actually that kid I told you about. Remember the kid in the sandbox?
I think you said his name was Ian, or something along those lines?
Yeah, his name was Iam, but now he's actually going by Chase, and actually he's going by a lot of other names too.
A lot of other names. Sounds like
Yeah,
a type. Times like a type who is a little bit untrustworthy of people.
I don't think he's untrustworthy. It's more like he's trying to figure out who he is. He's the one who has the really bad memory issues. And I don't know. I might ask him to. I might tell him to visit you sometime, because I remember you helped me deal with some stuff. So.
Well, if he's willing, sure. I would love to have a chat with him if he would like to.
All right, I'll let him know. But,
Of course.
Anyway, yeah, I should probably go. My friends are busy at the psychic rally, and gotta find Bullet.
Of course. Well, please tell Bullet that I said hi. And it really was really good to see you, Molly, she says with a very small smile. I hope that I'll be able to get a visit from you again soon.
Oh, well, I'll be back, Doctor.
She says, I'm glad. It hasn't been the same here without you since you left.
Yeah, I'm really thankful for everything you did. Like, you helped me deal with some stuff, and you introduced me to Bullet, and I'm really thankful to you, Doctor.
Well, she says, I'm just doing my job, she says. And and you made it very easy. Not everybody here at this facility is as receptive to my sessions as you have been. And it's understandable. A lot of them struggle with opening up, but, it took some time with you, but you did, and because of that, I think a lot of the person who helped you more was yourself.
Well, I'm still working on that part, trying to help myself, but it'll get better, I'm sure.
I'm sure Bullet will take care of you. Here's a smart one.
He is a very smart one. He's a smart aleck too. I mean,
just tell him that my advice for him would be to don't take things too fast all the time. Sometimes you need to slow down and appreciate the now a little bit.
I'll try to tell him. We'll see if he responds. But when he's not crashing through walls.
If you move too fast, you could miss a thing or two, and that would be a shame.
Yeah, Molly's muttering to herself a little bit. She says, "Oh yeah, he flew right into a fire, didn't he?" So,
a fire?
Nothing serious. He's fine. But anyway, yeah, it was very good seeing you, Dr. Pearl. But I'll see you again soon, okay?
All right, Molly. Well, you have a safe trip back home.
Thanks. And so Molly will close the door, and immediately she'll be like, she'll be like kind of strutting down the hallway, very happy.
Well, you can tell by the way I move my walk. Okay. All right, so yeah, you guys back at Madison's area. Yeah, you guys can hear some 70s music playing like down the hallway.
Yeah,
okay.
so Molly will find Chase and she'll be like, "Come on, let's go."
All right, yeah, that's okay. Let's go.
Okay, so at this point, I think that you guys are all going to go back to Saffron City. Madison will be released with the police department. So pretty much Officer Jenny and or a rookie Nevi are required to oversee her at all times, or monitor her at all times. So you all travel back to the station at Saffron City, and you guys can report back to the rest of the group on what's about to happen. So basically, like I said, to reiterate, the idea that Madison and thus Officer Jenny approved it is for you guys to send 5 Pokemon into the PC to try to track down the missing Rotim. And while that's happening, Rookie Nevi will keep in touch with Lieutenant while you guys are going to look up the plate over in Unova.
Just on the evening of the circuit rally, wondered if it was possible for Noor to have a chat with Cassie.
You may. Yeah, go ahead.
What is Cassie doing at the moment?
So this is right after the rally.
Immediately after the rally?
No, like a few hours, like when it's getting like later in the night.
Okay, well, assuming that they
give
just
some time.
Yeah.
Alone.
Assuming they just went back to the apartment, she'd just be in her room.
She'll like knock and go, knock, knock. Cassie, it's Noire.
Yeah?
How are you processing it?
As well as you can. Do you need something?
Well, just want to let you know if you ever wanted to talk about your father. I don't know exactly what you're going through. I never met your father, but I know what it's like to miss a father. If that helps at all, I don't know if it does. But if you want to talk about the good times, the bad times, you can have my ear. Just sort of let you know.
Yeah. Thanks. I got some things to figure out. So
No.
It's appreciated, but not right now.
Okay. Have a good sleep.
Yeah. You too.
Thanks. Walks away.
Oh, and I also would say I don't think that Cassie would have appeared in the dream world that night. So just to that.
As in she doesn't fall asleep?
Yeah.
Okay, so she won't appear, which means none of you will end up in the dream world that night.
Oh.
Because it only works when all 5 of you fall asleep.
Okay, good to know.
So, for the first time, you guys will not end up in the dream world, and you will wake up the next morning without having gone into the dream world at all, and being given the option. Yes.
Chase is going towards the apartment, Noire's and Cassie's apartment. He's going to go pay them a visit the next day.
Morning. Yeah, sure, you can. Yeah, you can get into the apartment, and you can knock on the door if you'd like the next morning. Go ahead.
So first I'll say on his way up the apartment, he's in the elevator, and he's just looking at the numbers on the just because numbers in him, and he's just going through a couple of them, looks at his arms, looks at the phone numbers. And as the numbers light up, 1, 2, 3, they get to 7, and he gets chills in his body when he sees the 7 before he steps out of the elevator. And then he slowly walks down the hallway towards the apartment that he's been at before, but he was in a different state of mind. And this time he's looking at every door number as he's going down the hallway, and he just feels weird about it as something. So he finally gets to the door, and before he knocks on the door, he imagines a folder over the number first, and he's kind of blurry. He's not really seeing the number yet, but he's trying to focus to see what the number actually is.
The number actually is 767. The number actually is 767.
And he knocks on the door, and he writes down 767 by 797, which is written on the inside of his bicep.
There's a knock on the door. This morning I'm assuming that Noire is making breakfast for Fabian, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I don't know what Cassie is doing that morning. Are you in your room, Cassie? Yes or no?
Yeah, I think she's still in her room.
Okay, and you haven't had any sleep, so you're probably very, very groggy, is my guess. Unless you just got a whole bunch of Red Bull.
Unless she handles it like me, I don't know. Then.
Yeah, you might have a whole lot of Red Bull in your room right now. I don't know. So, or Red Toros? Red Toros in your room? Fabian is eating. What did you make for Fabian for breakfast today, Noire?
Bacon and eggs, because she had a little time in the morning because she didn't go to the drink world, so she slept less than usual.
All right. Bacon and eggs. He's, trying to put some ketchup onto his eggs. He misses the plate a little bit, but he ends up, putting more of the ketchup onto his eggs again. And for whatever reason...
Not the whole bowl, Fabian. Remember last time.
He puts his ketchup down. Fabian really loves ketchup. It's his favorite condiment. If he could put ketchup on everything, he would. And he loves ketchup on his eggs. It almost seems like he likes to drown his eggs with ketchup because he just loves the condiment so much. But then he puts the ketchup bottle down and he starts eating his eggs, his ketchuped eggs. That's when you hear the knock on the door.
I guess since someone knocked at the door, we'll go up to it and open it. Hello, who's there?
It's
Chase.
Chase.
No, she won't open it.
It's Chase.
She'll just look through the little hole. And go, oh, okay. Opens the door without using her hands because it's Chase. Yeah.
Noire.
Out of curiosity, not that Cassie's there, but how zipped up is Chase?
How what?
How zipped up?
That's a good question.
That's a good
Legs
question.
usually in the hoodie.
I would say it's just mid chest. It's mid chest. He's half.
I was surprised that Chase wasn't being snarky and been like, you know who it is. Without, you don't have to look through the peephole. You can tell who's behind the door. You and your psychicness. Anyway. Anyway, continue.
What brings you here at this early morn?
Well, I didn't wake up so well, so how was your sleep, Noire?
Back to the same old before the dream world.
Did you go there?
No.
Is Cassie around?
She's in her room, but I won't disturb her.
Chase walks in.
I said don't disturb her.
Knocks on Cassie's door.
Yeah.
I guess before doing that, I should, out of respect, I mean, if Fabian's in the room and Chase has never met Fabian, so
Yeah.
So I would, Chase will he's single-minded. He's going for Cassie because that's generally what he does. But then he does stop, and for the first time he acknowledges Fabian, and he puts. Go ahead. Oh, I thought you were going to say something hard.
Yeah, he's eating, and he's like pointing at you, and he sees you, and he's got his eyes like light up a little bit when he sees you, and he's pointing at you. But you can respond to him. He doesn't verbally say anything yet, so.
Yes, Chase will put together the fact that like when they fell asleep the first time, they all fell asleep here, and it's like he's realized for the first time there was another person here, and he had never questioned about it. He has never really talked to Noire about if she's had family outside of them going to the ward after and meeting Fabian, but he's just made the association that she takes care of him, and he freezes everything. He just freezes, and he unzips his hoodie, and he goes and sits by Fabian.
And Lux falls out.
Yes. And he sits down by Fabian.
Hey, Fabian. This is Chase. Chase, this is Fabian.
Fabian, like, again, is pointing towards Chase, and he looks at Noire, and he looks at Chase. He's like, YouTube.
You know me
Fabian,
from YouTube?
Fabian's like...
Video?
Fabian says, it's YouTube. YouTube.
What did you see on YouTube?
He says, you're cool. And he says, like, building fire. And he starts doing clawing, like as if he's like climbing up a wall.
You saw me climbing up a wall and jumping into fire like some sort of imp?
It's cool.
And is there any paper around with any drawing utensils, like any
Jumping into fire is not cool. It's dangerous.
He said he's cool.
Lux pats Chase's leg, goes to find Remy or Fern.
We'll finish this up with the human. So you're looking for something to write. I'm sure you can find something to write with. I don't think Fabian has his drawing stuff near him, but I'm sure you can grab something from the kitchen counter or something.
I asked Noire for a piece of paper. I have a Sharpie, so I can I'll pull out the Sharpie. And I figure there's got to be a lot of butterflies around, like maybe on the fridge or something. And so Chase will quickly just draw like a sigil of a butterfly or moth for Fabian and slide it over. It looks like this fascinating art is yours then. You like butterflies?
He looks at it and he smiles a little bit and he says, Yeah, I like butterflies. Butterfreeze. Beautifly. Dustox. Mothrums.
Did you ever have any as a pet? Did you ever think maybe you can get a Pokemon someday of your own?
Not allowed.
Why aren't you allowed?
He kind of just does a shrug.
Well, maybe we'll find you a Pokemon one day. How's that?
When you say that, he perks up a little bit and he says, "Yeah, my own Pokemon." He looks over at a Noire as if scared that she would say no. But then he looks back at Chase again.
We never asked for one, Fabian.
He sort of then shrugs a little bit.
How about next time I come over, you draw me a butterfly?
Okay, he said. Yeah. He nods.
It was nice to meet you, little guy. And he reaches out his hand to shake his hand.
You reach out and shake his hand, and when you grab a hold of his hand, something very briefly comes over Fabian, and he ends up in a similar trance that he was in back when you guys fell asleep. So his eyes sort of glaze over a little bit, and you can see like this bluish glow, and the tone in his voice changes to the tone that he gave to Noire when he first said the words, "You shouldn't be here. You don't belong here," and what he sort of looks through you, not into your eyes, but like right through you, and then he says in a very haunting voice, "She's not actually here." And then he shakes it off. And then he looks back at the drawing and he looks excited again. Back to what, as if nothing just happened.
What did you do?
Nothing. He's just thinking about what he's gonna draw next. I'll see you around, little guy. And he zips up his hoodie.
He says he goes back to his eggs, but before he goes back to his eggs, he says, come back again."
I will. And then he looks at Noire and says, "Leave it alone."
You're not worried about that?
Not here. Let's not talk about it here.
Obviously.
And Chase will go to Cassie's door.
So Lux, you're going to look for Fern and Remy. Where are they? They don't necessarily have to be together. Where are they in the apartment?
I would say standard location for Remy, by the sun, laying in the sun, catching some rays.
Fenn's probably with Cassie.
Fern is aware that Cassie did not sleep at all. Yes, no?
Yes.
She's aware? Okay, so you're inside the room. Fern, right?
Unless you're kicked out.
No, I don't think Cassie would have. Did Fern sleep? Just out of curiosity.
I'm assuming Fern slept. Did Fern sleep?
Fern would have tried to stay awake and immediately fell asleep.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, she was exhausted. She protected the house with you.
Fern might even still be sleeping. She might have overslept, maybe, if she was trying to stay awake. But Remy is awake by the windowsill, so Lux can find Remy at least. Go ahead.
Hey, pretty puppy. How you been?
How you doing, Runt? Doing fine.
How can you stand being in sunlight? It's too bright. Proceeds to go into shadows.
It makes its vitamin D. It's good for the fur. It makes it shine.
I don't have fur.
Well, then you don't know what you're missing. That's why you're so cold.
I'm not cold. I am very warm.
You know what that Tiffany lady needs to make for you? A fur coat. Not real fur though. Get fake fur, like the.
I don't know.
Don't use.
Reaches up hand, starts stroking Rebby's tail. You did. Yeah, this really is quite nice.
Well, maybe you can find 6 tails out there. Fern 6 tails out there. Maybe there's a coat made.
No, I like your coloration better. I don't think white's really my color. I prefer dark tones.
The color of blood, huh?
Funny. Stops petting you, withdraws hand. Where is Fern? She wasn't at the rally.
I think she's still in that room. Or Cassie, I heard her walking around or pacing or ruffling through things all night. I don't think she slept.
Jay slept, but it wasn't the sleep he's been having. We have to wake him up.
I wonder what's going on here.
Yeah, so do I. Actually, out of character, Chase has mentioned the sandbox, but I don't know how much more he's explained.
About what?
He has explained about the partially sandbox and sleep. I don't know how much more he's explained.
Oh, so like when he sleeps, he goes to the world? Yeah, I think the last thing he said to Lux was that he prefers to be in there. Yeah. It's more peaceful in there and that he feels like he can understand himself more. So.
Okay, so there hasn't been more since. No. Okay.
Almost that he's been sleeping in as late as possible because he's probably getting addicted to being in there is what you might.
Yeah, Lux does not like that at all.
So, yeah.
Has your human been oversleeping?
No, she seems to get up just fine and go about her business. I think she has to take care of Fabian, so
True.
she's got a routine.
Yeah. Yeah, Chase used to have one, but I don't know. He worries me.
You trust that guy? I don't know if I trust him.
I don't know if I trust your psychic, so.
At least my psychic is around people and knows how to be social.
Chase knows how to be social. Gestures toward kitchen where he is drawing the butterfly right now. See? He's being very social.
With a crazy person, and he's crazy.
Wait, Fabian's crazy? Looks at kid. Seems normal. Shrugs. He's not floating, at least. Has he been floating again?
I don't think so, but...
Well, you're here. You should be keeping an eye on him.
Oh, I keep an eye on him. Just from a distance.
Good bet. Right, you can do range stuff.
And I'm close to the window for a reason.
Oh, I just thought you liked that
stuff.
Obnoxious sunlight stuff.
I like to be able to get away.
I can appreciate that.
So how did you end up in this city?
Pokeball, caught, brought here.
But you're not legal.
Yeah, I don't think my old trainer cared about that. Actually, I know he didn't care about that.
Your old trainer? From the city? Were you in competitions?
From somewhere. No.
Did they make you fight?
Kinda, sorta. Not really fighting, intimidation.
I never heard of a Pokemon contest where intimidation was the way you won.
I wish it were a contest. Granted, I would not be able to match your beauty.
So they made you fight and not in contests. And Remy starts to go very... He starts to withdraw when he says that.
Yeah, Alexis is in his own psychosis right now. It's like, yep, I'm talking about this. Nope, don't start picking a costume.